What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Lagunitas Brewing Company, and they're out of both Petaluma, California, and Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Willettized Coffee Stout, and this is a part of their Woodshop series, and this is the 2019 vintage. So this is an Imperial Stout that is brewed with coffee and aged in rye whiskey barrels, comes in at 12.4% alcohol by volume, 32 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this bottle is, and that's because I cannot find a date on the bottle anywhere. Usually with Lagunitas, it's very hard to find, especially when it's packaged, with darker beers, because you can't really see. Usually, for some reason, they use like a black colored font on it. But yeah, I can't find it. We'll just say it's probably no older than 2 months old, and that's because this bottle was sent to me by a very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Jeff, aka NoJinx. So thank you very much, Jeff. I'll post a link in the description box to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies Jeff sent my way. He sent me this one because when he sent the beer mail out, it's about a month, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was gonna say a month, but close to a month ago. This still hadn't shown up in the Western New York area. I was like, man, I don't know if it is. And it finally did about 2 weeks ago. But I'm really happy he sent me a bottle of it because I wanted to review it. I wanted to drink it. And it did show up here. So I do appreciate Jeff still sending it my way, though. Probably go buy more, assuming that it's delicious. And I think it's going to be. And that's because, full disclosure, I've had this one before, had the 2017 vintage. And I think it was 2017 because I don't think I had it last year. And it was absolutely phenomenal. It's a great beer. So yeah, Imperial Stout, brewed with coffee, aged in rye whiskey barrels. I've seen a lot of people review this one this year, and they're really digging on it. It's to be expected. Now, this one specifically is, I think the ABV is like 0.5 lower than last year's. But like I said, I didn't have last year's. Now, this bottle is straight up cellar temperature. So shout out to a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, Paul, over at PaTroll. Cellar temp, Paul, not in the fridge. So here's for you. But yeah, that's looking fantastic. Go about like that. Don't want to get crazy here. Get my nose in it. So yeah, that pours out pitch black, looking like a huge Imperial Stout. About a finger of a, wow, I can smell the nose from pouring it, and it smells like straight mocha. It's fantastic. About a finger of this brown colored head, very creamy looking. That just looks fantastic. Let's get a nose. Yeah, holy fuck, is that dynamite. Dynamite nose. Oh man, there's so much going on. Holy shit. So I'm getting a fresh coffee presence. I'm getting the barrel. It has like a nice rye kind of kick to it, like a nice. I'm actually getting the spirit too. Whiskey it has like a warming sensation in the nose. Vanilla, oak, big underlying sweet dark chocolate kind of vibes as well. Nice roasted character to it. The barrel is not like super charred or anything, but I think the roasted malts combined with the barrel give me slight charry notes. Ooh, getting a little bit of like a leather. I typically don't get, I think I might have mentioned this in probably the only other review I mentioned. A lot of people get like tobacco and leather and whatnot in a lot of Imperial Stout stuff. I don't get it too often. If I do, it's usually leather. A little bit of leather in here. There's molasses. Slight dark fruits as well. Man, between that coffee and that sweet dark chocolate, like a big mocha vibe. And then on top of it, you got the barrels. And they're giving that kick of rye and just imparting the whiskey characteristic. I was going to say flavor. I haven't tasted it, but the whiskey aroma as well. This smells super complex, but it doesn't smell like it's 12.4%. It smells like it's like 10. It doesn't have a sick booziness, like a substantial booziness to the nose. It just kind of has a touch, a kiss of booziness. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody, and thanks again, Chef. So that char kind of character definitely carries over in the taste. And cellar temperature, which I think is like 64 down here. Great drinking temperature. I'm getting a ton of flavor on this one. It's not too cold or even cool to kind of hide the flavors. First off, body, touch thin. I kind of expected it. It's in barrels, whatnot, but it's not super thin. This is like lower side of full body. So a bit thin for something that's 12.4%. Throw it in barrels, it's gonna thin it out. But it's not, this is not like, when I say it's a touch thin, I'm not saying this is like a super thin beer. It's not watery or anything. It's just, it doesn't have a straight on full body that I would want from a 12+% beer. And I've had people comment before being like, I don't find that beer as thin as you do. When I say it's a touch thin, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's just a touch thin, maybe like 5% more thin than I anticipate. That's it. Not saying this is watery or anything, just a bit thin. The mouthfeel, super soft, smooth, creamy. There's carbonation here, but it's definitely a little bit undercarb for my palate. So body mouthfeel, really nice. The taste is fantastic. First off, 12.4%, hides the alcohol well. I would not say this is over 10%. So you're drinking a beer that's 2.5% lower as far as what you can taste or what I can taste. It might be different. Maybe a lot of people think this is boozy. For me, this is definitely not boozy. Now, the most of it, I'm not really getting a lot of astringency on the palate. It's mostly into my chest and my stomach. I feel a nice warming as I take each sip. But yeah, mocha, there's a lot of chocolate, sweet dark chocolate, a little bit of like a cocoa powder type of chocolate too, like a sweeter cocoa powder, mixing in with that real nice, intense kind of coffee flavor. It's kind of, the coffee on the nose was a little bit more intense. In the taste, I think that the base beer and then the actual barrels are kind of dulling it a bit, but it's still there, it's still noticeable, and it's mixing in with that sweeter dark chocolate, that cocoa powder to produce that mocha type of character I'm talking about. That's right at the front of the palate. Then there's underlying characteristics to the base beer itself before we get into the barrel, because the barrel really doesn't hit me until mid-palate. A little bit of that molasses I was talking about. Leathery undertones on the palate completely. Touch of dark fruit. But as soon as mid-palate hits, that's where the barrel comes in. It has a nice rye-like spiciness to it. It's not big or anything. It's not big and bold. Very minute, subtle, nuanced. But along with that comes this oak tannin dryness and a nice like accentuation of vanilla too. And that carries on through the back of the palate. This beer is not super sweet to my palate. It's actually semi to full on dry because there's a big sweetness, but then that dryness, whether it's from the alcohol, whether it's from the oak tannins or the base Imperial Stout, has a bitterness to it. It just completely dries it out. This finish is, I'd say, mild to moderate, approaching moderate as far as bitterness goes. But it has a really nice balanced finish because you get the big sweetness, but then the dryness hits, and then there's a little bit of a lingering, like moderate bitterness to it. So it hits everything you want. It hits the sweetness, it hits the dryness, and then it hits the slight bitterness. And yeah, this is a great beer. Is it as good as I remember it being in 2017? I think it's very similar in different ways. Don't remember getting that leather kind of component. I don't remember it being such a mocha kind of bomb for me. But for me, this is tasty. This is great stuff. It's Lagunitas. It's the values there, the quality's there, and this is what you kind of expect. So I don't think this is like, for me, like a 5 out of 5 mind-blowing beer, but this is a really nice beer. So I'm going to give the Willettized Coffee Stout, part of their Woodshop series and the 2019 vintage from Lagunitas, I'm going to give it a high 4.5 out of 5. I'm going to go 4.55 out of 5. I think it deserves it. It's a damn good beer. It's really tasty. And I'm definitely going to buy this going forward every single year. I missed last year's, like I said. I don't know why. I just probably drinking so many beers, kind of forgot about it. But yeah, damn tasty beer. I probably won't review it every year because even though it probably slightly changes, like I said, from the ABV and the barrels and whatnot, I just don't think that... you know, it's not a necessity to review this every year. It's very similar, but maybe we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, price and availability on this one. Availability, probably wherever you see Lagunitas. Now, here's the thing. For me, Lagunitas, and I've said this, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there are so many big breweries, whether it's Lagunitas, Stone, there's a lot. Who was the other one that I reviewed recently? There's another brewery too. There's like a half dozen breweries that, for distribution for them, it's, Boulevard. When it comes to their big releases like this, their specialty releases, it usually takes about a month longer than typical distribution for any other area. So, like I said, Jeff, I think, and a lot of my other Untapped friends saw this one about a month ago, maybe even like 6 weeks ago, and I just saw this a couple weeks ago. So it's like crazy to me, but at the same time, whatever, at least it shows up. But that's why a lot of times when these beers show up and their specialty releases and their IPAs, that I don't pick them up because they're already 2 months old by the time I get my hands on them. So this one showed up a little later than I expected. But again, Jeff already sent me a bottle, so I didn't grab it. Now I might go back and grab a couple to age or whatever, but at the end of the day, Jeff sent this one to me. So I don't know the price point. I didn't look at the price point. I'd imagine a bottle of this is like $4. And for something that's 12.4% aged in rye whiskey barrels, and then you're on top of that, throwing coffee in here, and it's 12.4%, like $4 for that bottle. I'd imagine 4 packs are probably in like the $14 to $16 range, maybe even cheaper, maybe even $12. I don't know. I just know the value when it comes to Lagunitas beer, through the roof. That's what it comes down to. Lagunitas has the best bang for buck in craft beer, in my opinion, and this beer is probably no different. So yeah, anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review. If you've had this one before, and I know a lot of you have, let me know what you think about it. And once again, thanks to Jeff for hooking me up with this one. I appreciate it. Good stir. I don't know. I'm getting hammered. I only drank probably like 3 or 4 ounces, but I'm done. It's over. Dunzo. I'm going to take off. Cheers, everybody.